All right, we should be live.
Hello.
Yep. Say hi, everybody. Anybody? Let me make sure that I actually have everything set up correctly here. You know, we always have audio and video issues here. Yeah. So
Basher,
those of you hanging out in the YouTube chat, give me a yay or an A on my audio and also on everybody else's audio. Steve, Basher, anybody else, because they're on a different audio stream than my mic. So if you can hear me and them, let me know. Of course, I could do a quick preview, I guess, myself and actually watch the stream for a second. My audio and also on, all right. Looks like my audio is working for sure. Yeah, Johan in the chat, he says good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's morning for me. I don't know what it is for Steve.
Well, now since I'm in Dubai, the whole time schedule, the time thing changed. Is actually 8 p.m.
That's like
It used to be 6 p.m.
Yeah, Johan in the
when I was in Serbia, but since not 6 p.m., 5 p.m. in Serbia, but since here it's 3 hours ahead of Serbia, in Dubai, the whole.
Yeah, I was just previewing the audio there for a second. It looks like the audio is good. Looks like I can hear you. I can hear me. So,
yeah. And Basher, I think Basher wants to stick to chat since you didn't say anything.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, anybody that joins these doesn't have to be on camera or on microphone. I mean, you just hang out. If you want to type in the Zoom text chat, we'll hopefully get your messages. Or type in the YouTube chat. Sometimes we'll pay attention to the YouTube chat, although sometimes it's kind of hard to keep up with that. But I'll try to pay attention as well. Obviously, lots of news, you know, since we do these once a month. We've got a month's worth of Linux and just software and tech news in general.
Mainly since the beginning of the year until now, so basically a month, it's been revolving around NVIDIA, AMD, and AI.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the story for about 2 years now.
Well,
I mean,
now
that is pretty much dominated everything I do here. I mean, really, in the last couple of years, it's all been AI related stuff, and you know, especially with companies like NVIDIA and AMD and Microsoft and Meta as well. So I mean, that's where the action's at these days.
Yeah, especially now with the release of the NVIDIA 50 series. Bad news for me because they initiated the deprecation of GTX cards, which is natural. I don't blame them. It's approaching a decade.
Yeah, it happens.
But what happened was when Jensen went on stage, because I watched the entire event, when Jensen went on stage, he said the 5070 power of the 4090 just for $549. And when he said that, my jaw dropped. I was like, I can afford that. But then he uttered the words, impossible without the use of AI. So basically, what he meant was, if you don't use AI, the AI portion of the drivers on the 5070, you're not going to get anywhere close to the 4090 performance. Yeah. So it was kind of a deceitful kind of announcement.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch the whole conference, although I did know it was going on at the time. Because I was holding a little bit of NVIDIA, and their share price kind of tanked while he was talking.
Yeah, but
like, I don't know why CEOs just don't shut up, because usually when they talk, it's not good.
Yeah, but when
Elon
he said
Musk,
AI,
I'm looking at you. Right? He's another one. Like,
yeah,
if you want Tesla to drop about 20-30% in a day, just let Elon throw out a few tweets. You know.
Yeah, especially that I was interested because I'm an NVIDIA user, and I think I will be for a long time to come. But still, they also released the beta version of the 570 drivers for Linux. And when I tried them on my brother's, because I hijacked my brother's Asus Zephyrus laptop that has a 3080. I did notice a huge jump in performance thanks to the drivers. They still have their own bugs, their beta drivers, but I noticed a 22% jump in performance on that laptop using the beta driver. So they did something good. As for my next GPU,
jump in performance, is that with Steam? Is it a particular game you're benchmarking?
Yeah, I was testing Marvel Rivals.
Okay.
I downloaded it quickly because my brother has a gigabit connection, so it took like 10 minutes to download the game, 15 minutes. So I downloaded that game and I tested it without on the stable drivers, which are 565, if I'm not mistaken. And I then tested it with the 570 drivers. With the 570 drivers, I had a 22% FPS jump. So on the same settings, which is ultra settings, everything to the max. So, I think the drivers are getting better, but the people with a 4090 jumping, if they're hoping to pay $2,000 and $2,500 to get the 5090, the raw performance without AI is negligible, to say the least, and that's bad news. Because $2,500.
I mean, you really have to love your gaming to spend $2,500 on a graphics card.
Yeah, and to get,
I can't do it, Steve. I mean, I spend a lot of money on tech, but spend that kind of money on a graphics card just a game. Yeah, but of course I'm not much of a gamer, so maybe if I was better at some of these games and played a little more, maybe I'd spend that money.
Same. So the performance per dollar using raw performance is not worth it. But if you want to use the AI elements, which is one of them is the multi-frame generation, which generates 3 artificial frames instead of 2. A lot of reviews mentioned that the delay will not the delay. What do they call it? Delay or whatever they call it, it's going to increase by 12 to 15%. So latency.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering the delay. Yeah. Okay. I got you.
The latency will increase, and a lot of competitive gamers do not like that. Did not like that.
Oh no. Yeah. I mean, you want the lowest latency possible if you're a competitive gamer.
Yep. Yeah. So you have to use AI, and from what I've seen, it's not that bad until you get close to the monitor and you are nitpicky and you want to pixel peep. You will notice artifacts on fingers and whatnot, but all that will get better with time.
Yeah.
So the 5090 is more targeted to competitive gamers than actual just casual gamers.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early days. You know, a lot of this, I wouldn't want to necessarily buy some of this early hardware. They've got a lot of stuff they're going to work out. This stuff's going to improve. Obviously, the cost is going to come down greatly on some of this stuff in the coming years, too.
Yeah. That's why for me, if I am to purchase a new GPU or a better GPU than the aging GTX that I got, I would go 3080. I'm gonna keep it on the low side because my games, I do not mind gaming at 60 FPS. I'm not a FPS hunter. I do not look for 1,000 FPS, 500 FPS or whatever.
The 3080 is still a monster card. I mean, that's not a bad card.
Yeah, but today it's cheap. Today you can find it for $300.
But still, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's still a really good card.
Yeah, but modern games today, like the more modern, the more competitive games you go, the more VRAM they use. So the 3080 has 10 gigabytes. It's the bare minimum today. It's the bare minimum. So if it had more VRAM, it would be a better choice. But for me, for the types of games,
what are they coming out? I mean, most of them are using 16 gigs now.
Yep, 60 with the 5090 having 32.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's insane to have that much RAM on board. Yeah, right.
But
it's strange times we live in, right?
Yep. So I'm gonna. Some people are gonna find it a little bit weird, but I've seen them test Cyberpunk 2077 on the 5090. It went from 140 FPS to 200 FPS. So there was a significant gain in FPS, but only with AI stuff. If you go raw, it goes from 150 FPS to 160 FPS, 170 FPS. So 20 FPS increase. That's nothing. So that's marginal if you use raw performance, not AI generated frames. So I wouldn't spend $2,500 on a GPU that gives me only this little bit of raw performance.
If you're doing games, yes, but
yeah, I'm talking about games. Yeah.
If you're gonna be, and I'm gonna be really honest here, if you only play games, you're an idiot if you buy 5090 or even 5080 even. Let's be real here. So you have to be doing something else as well. So, and at that point, 5090 is a steal.
Yeah, 5090 is a steal if you do, especially if you do local LLMs.
If you do anything related to GPU-based compute, 5090 becomes a steal then.
Yeah, exactly. But not everyone is going to do that. So, but there will still be those people who want to flex, who like to flex, and they will spend the $2,500 because they got money burning a hole in their pocket and just say, "Hey, I got the 5090. Do you use it?" Nah,
I never understood that. I never understood that type of flexing.
Yeah,
I get having it for work, but like that, I never understood that.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't like the idea. I'm kind of cheap anyway. I don't like the idea of paying for something that I can't really use, and paying $2,500 for a card that has a bunch of technology built into it that I'm not going to ever use. Right? As far as for my workflow, like I don't understand people that do that. Like if you're actually going to use the thing, yeah, buy it.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I could in theory use that especially the CUDA cores and the Tensor cores on it.
Yeah, do you do a lot of LLMs, local LLMs?
No, I don't do local LLMs. I do other stuff that I could use those CUDA cores and the Tensor cores on.
Yeah, it'd be good for Blender. It'd be good. There's some things you could do. Depending on
compute stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
LLMs are just one of the computes you can do, and what I do it like I can pull out pretty good chunk of that performance if I really wanted to, and I had that kind of stupid money to burn.
Yeah.
But then at that point, wouldn't it be at that kind of price point, I would probably then go for a Quadro.
Yeah, I mean, if you because that's basically what you're trying to buy is a server card at that point. If you're spending that kind of money anyway.
No, you're buying workstation card, not a server card. A workstation card.
Yeah, the server card is way more expensive.
That would be a Tesla.
The server cards are $10,000 a pop.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, but they're fucking amazing.
Yeah, they are. They are because they have a single purpose. They have a single purpose with it, which is server workloads. But
that's not really a single purpose. They have like a load of purposes.
Yeah.
All of them are graphics card compute.
I'm talking single general purpose with millions of smaller purposes. But
yes, but so do graphics card from for later desktop have a single purpose.
Like I see the Intel GPUs. I see them as single purpose GPUs. They're not powerful enough to run the latest RTX games, but they're very good at AV1 encoding.
Well, yeah, that's also like I want one of those for my encoding machine.
I think how much are they running?
They're just $250.
Oh, okay.
They're very cheap.
Yeah, Yeah, they're
So
cheap
yeah, so I think in my
and
case,
really nice.
if I wanna get a 3080, if I can't get a 3080 and I instead go for a cheaper AMD card, instead of losing the NVENC encoder, I buy another GPU, which is an Intel GPU. I just leverage the Intel GPU for AV1 encoding, and I do the gaming on the AMD card.
Well, my question for you is, what kind of FPS do you really care about?
No.
What kind
In
of
games,
settings
I
do
don't
you need?
like I told DT earlier. I'm not a FPS hunter. I don't care if my games run only at 60 FPS, as long as it's not 20 FPS.
That mid-tier Intel GPU should do just fine, believe me.
Well, I hope so, but the problem is that most games that are coming out these days, they require RTX, something that supports RTX.
Yeah, that not most, like some of them do.
Yeah,
but
like
not,
one of them being my favorite game of all time, Doom Dark Ages, so Doom series. It requires a minimum RTX thing, or AMD 7800 XT. I could find the 7800 XT for like $400. So that'll be feasible, but an NVIDIA GPU is harder to get because they're more expensive. And the 7800
honestly,
XT,
I'm gonna stick with my 3060 Ti.
Yeah,
Well,
3060 is fine. I mean,
yeah,
the 3080 would be fine too if Steve can find it. I'm sure he can find one for about $500 somewhere online if he looks a little bit.
I found one for $322.
Wow.
So, but the thing is, the 3060 Ti is 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and nowadays
No, mine is 12.
Oh, you have the 12 gig one. Okay.
Yes, I have one of those.
That's good. That's good. Because games these days require more VRAM.
Honestly, the games I play, I haven't hit even 8 gigs yet. So
yeah. But
I'm also not a very demanding gamer. I don't really care about the big FPS or big looks.
there is one game that will eat up the VRAM that's coming. That's Civ 7. That will eat up your VRAM easily.
That's true, but I probably won't play it, so I don't really care about that.
Yeah, well, I play things like Xenotic and Sauerbraten, you know. I can get away with much less on my graphics cards.
Xenotic, it runs on a pancake.
Yeah.
Well, these days I play PoE and Baldur's Gate, and that's about it.
Yeah, PoE 2 does eat VRAM.
Yeah, PoE 2, but it doesn't actually eat that much.
Yeah, it eats up around 8 gigs. It eats up around 8 gigs easily. You'll still have 4 gigs.
Based on the fact that my GPU does encoding and the game just fine, I think it's just fine.
Yeah. But anyway, speaking of AI, DT, you recently looked at Makulu Linux.
Yeah, we were going to get into some Linux distros that you know some of the releases in the last month. We can start with Makulu because I did that video on it, and it was interesting because pretty much every application that they had in that ISO, right? Anything you open, text editors, video players, audio players, terminals, they all had like a AI chat assistant things built in to where you could tell the program exactly what you wanted to do. And a lot of it is like a premium service that you'd have to pay for. You actually have to sign up for like a pro version of their distribution, which makes sense because you know there's data costs for some of that. But I just thought it was interesting that like AI was tied into pretty much everything in that distro. I know that was kind of off-putting for some people when I did the video, but
it's not only off-putting. I think, in my honest opinion, it's a good idea what he's doing. It's not because we are living the age of AI, but he did it a little bit. He went a little bit overboard. In my honest opinion, a little bit overboard.
Yeah, there's some things I like the idea, but there's other things like the terminal. Like if I'm typing in the terminal and telling the terminal what to do anyway with the commands I'm entering, why do I need a middleman, which is the chat assistant?
Exactly.
Right. Unless it's a situation where I guess if somebody didn't know commands to enter to do a certain task, I guess it could come into play. But
the question is, did it add any value to the operating system?
For some applications, I'm sure it would. For example, having it in your text editor makes a lot of sense if you want to generate like a, I don't know, quick bit of text for something, or you need a summary of something, or if you want an example of an if statement in a particular programming language, like it can spit out stuff like that to just give you a basic template for something when you're writing. It makes sense in like a text editor. But, other applications, like your Paint program, do you really need a chat assistant in that?
An IntelliSense for terminal wouldn't actually be that of a stupid idea, because like half the time I'm just tabbing through different options because I don't remember whatever option I need for absolutely every program, because if you live in a terminal, you don't remember everything, especially a program you use once a month maybe. So IntelliSense for that would be great, but honestly, for that you don't need AI.
Yeah, but if he wanted to integrate AI in text editors, he should have just included Cursor, because Cursor has AI built in and whatever. Why embedded in everything? Like it's like I want to give you a flower to that represents my love. Instead of giving one flower, he freaking gave the entire garden. So that's overwhelming. He should have taken it.
Some of it is interesting. Like if I opened up GIMP, because GIMP, has got a lot of complicated stuff in it, and if you don't know how to use it, just tell GIMP, hey, this image that I opened up, here's what I want to do with it. And GIMP can do its magic, or whatever, without you having to go through the gigantic menu system and picking the options yourself. Some things I could see being somewhat useful, but would they be something you would use all that often? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. So he should have gone a little bit easy on the AI.
I give you a perfect program that is extremely complicated if you're new to it, just because it has so many options hidden in the menu system. LibreOffice. It's a nightmare to navigate.
Yep.
So
I agree.
Just asking AI, hey, can you do this to this document? I think that would be neat. Yeah,
and speaking of AI, my brother has made me discover something superb about AI. There's the new Chinese DeepSeek AI, but the DeepSeek AI is basically a ChatGPT times 10 on steroids. And the best part,
it's a okay reasoning model.
Yeah,
I still think better ones exist.
Yeah, but the best part of it is when you don't type to it, when you start a voice conversation with it, the new voice conversation, it's amazing. It's amazing the amount, and it gives you its thought process. It's so transparent. It shows you in text its thought process, how it's processing the data, and
that's the only benefit of it. It gives you thought process. Honestly,
no, not only because it did things better than ChatGPT, 1,000 times better.
Yes, it does.
Because it's ChatGPT on steroids.
Better.
What?
It does certain things better, yes, but not everything. It's just like every AI. it will do certain things better because it is optimized for that thing, and because, well, it is a reasoning model that's better on things that where it's more reasoning heavy.
It's the flavor of the month. I've been hearing a lot about this.
Yes.
This DeepSeek AI.
Yes,
I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it over the last month, not just on this channel, but also on my other channel, the trading channel. People are using it for different things. And, you know, before that, the hotness was Claude. Everybody loved Claude. Before that, you know, they were on something else, you know. It's like every time
Claude wasn't
something
actually
pops
that impressive.
Yeah, but a lot of people love it. Yeah, but
my brother
it has huge fans for some reason.
Yeah, my brother uses Claude, and there's a new service, I forgot the name of it, that has multiple AIs in it. It's got access to ChatGPT, the latest DeepSeek R1. It's got everything, and it will automatically select the right model according to your prompt. It's going to automatically select the best thing according to your prompt and give you the best results. It's so good, but it's not free. It's $10 a month, and then it grows according to what features you want. You start by $10 a month, and then you pay more as you go.
Well, I might check the DeepSeek because it is actually like I can put it on my own machine. That's the only reason.
Yeah, and
I will check it out.
It helped me redesign my website, fix my website, add effects, and add a background. Because I use Hugo with a theme called Blowfish, and Blowfish itself doesn't have any features. So I gave it the source code to Blowfish. It was like, oh, did you know you can add a custom .css and enable all the features that the theme does not include by default? And it helped me add a background, hover effects, glass effects, blur, and so on and so forth. I was able to finally add the Lebanese flag at the bottom and the footer. Instead of the copyright, I said proudly made in Lebanon with the Lebanese flag. It helped me. It took like 20 minutes, and it gave me the thought process. And then my brother uses it. And speaking of trade, DT, my brother deals with trade a lot. So he created an automation using something called make.com and N8N, where he automated whenever he sends a prompt through Telegram, he just types something, a word in Telegram, and then that sends it to his automation system, AI automation system, and then it spits out the graph of the day. And then, like, for example, the Trump coin. He was checking the Trump coin, the meme coin, Trump coin, and it sent him back the analysis step by step. It told him everything that happened during the day.
Yeah, but couldn't you just ask Claude that?
Well,
or basically anything.
Or anything. Yeah, but
the way he set it
up, that can be done, but basically anything. All you need is a little bit of know-how in programming. That's it. Like that's not actually hard.
The way he did it was he made one AI talk to another AI, then take the numbers, crunch them, and compare them with previous days and whatever. It's a whole entire automation. And then it spits out the entire final result. So I'm like, wow, he made ChatGPT talk to DeepSeek, talk to Claude, talk to whatever, so he can get perfectly clean output data.
I was actually doing a quick look. DeepSeek, can I add that to Olama?
I don't know.
To play with it?
I don't know. It's just chat.deepseek.
I know it's kind of new. Yeah, I was just wondering if
But maybe Olama does have a DeepSeek model. Maybe they added that. If you go to their GitHub,
I'm sure they'll eventually have it if they don't have it yet. But yeah, I might play with that a little bit.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good, especially when you start a conversation, not typing, because typing can go so far, but speaking out your thoughts out loud to it will help it much better.
Yeah.
It's like conversing with a real person. And for me, when I get back home, as I said before we started the live cast, I'm going to I'm working. I'll be working on services. I'll provide various companies in Lebanon, because in Lebanon they're very not tech savvy. So I'll be leveraging AI to provide a lot of services. This is outside XeroLinux. This is for my private thing. So it's amazing what you can do with AI. A lot of us tend to make fun of AI because we don't see the whole picture. But when we don't need to give them access to all of that. We could create an email, a work-based email for AI where we don't put any of our private data, and we start to work from there, because we can make our AI give us our daily tasks, read our business emails, to give us an analysis, a summary and a detailed analysis of what's going on, and so it gives us more data so we can provide more services. It's very helpful when you use it right. That's what I'm saying.
But that's a problem I'm having with AI, because when you're looking at what's done with AI, that's some cheap shots to getting money to go to the AI train and leverage the new technology. The basic problem is that, as you said, if you are using AI right, then it's a huge a game changer for everything.
Yeah.
But I would say 80-90%, it's just a marketing add-on. Like, how's it called? PHP Storm, the guys who make PHP Storm, right? They're adding AI features to their IDEs throughout the product range, and it doesn't do nothing good. The code you're getting is absolutely crap.
But that's always the case with these new kind of technologies that crop up. Everybody, it's just marketing speak. Anybody that comes out with a new product is going to talk about AI, even if AI has nothing to do with whatever they're selling. We saw this during the .com boom of the 1990s, where every company, even if it had no idea what the internet was, added .com to its name, right? Even if they didn't even have a website, just to say, hey, we're hip to this new thing, the internet, and most of those companies had nothing to do with the internet. Most of them weren't even real companies. Same thing with these AI companies. Half of them, not really real companies. Of course, the big companies, Microsoft, Meta, and NVIDIA, they're real companies. But a lot of people are grifters, creating these.
Yeah, but but still, big companies can use AI for the wrong things, like Meta, for example. Meta is
I don't think Meta's
information.
Yeah, Meta, I actually think is kind of leading in that space, to be honest.
They are leading because
they're doing things right, in my opinion, which is kind of odd to say, because I'm not obviously a fan of Meta, or haven't been over the years.
Yeah, but they have access to a shit ton of data already. So because people are willingly giving.
You have to train your large language models on data, so that's good that they have it. I mean, obviously, there's ethical concerns, but somebody's going to use that data anyway.
With every new invention, it could be used for good, it could be used for bad. So with every invention, this is how it is. So we got used to it. At this point,
anything you've ever written on the internet, whether it be just text or in some cases code, like on GitHub or GitLab, all of that stuff is being fed into these AIs. I know people have issues with it, but at this point, it's too late. It's already done.
Yeah, it's already done, and
there's no going back. So,
like my brother put it, we either ride the hype train, or we lose. We stay in bed. We stay at home without jobs, without anything. Because contrary to what people think, instead AI is not taking jobs away as much as it is giving jobs. Because for me, for example, I have been without a job for the better part of 5-6 years now. But with AI, I'll be able to create my own job, my own company, my own everything, thanks to AI. So I'll be able to bring in money thanks to AI. It's not the same case for everyone, But if you play your cards right, you can use AI to your own advantage to make money.
Yeah. Of course,
It's
you can
not-
also use it in really lame ways that are not going to make you money at all. Like
Yeah.
I see so many garbage videos on YouTube now that are all AI generated. It's AI generated text, AI generated voices. They probably AI generated the thumbnail. And it's like just like the most boring, plain vanilla kind of thing. It's like, oh, why are we not actually using a real human being for any of this stuff anymore?
No,
But that's the problem, because AI makes the threshold of doing things so so low that you don't have any skills anymore, right?
Yeah, but people can see through it. It's kind of like, you know, when we were first really, people were using personal computers, 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, and you had a lot of electronic music and, you know, synthesized music and things like that. People were like, man, well, you know, these going to replace real musicians. And of course, that never happened, because a computer is different creating music than a human being, and performing music especially.
Yeah.
It's never the same. Same thing with, like, would you want to listen to an all AI generated podcast?
No,
Yeah,
probably not. You would probably want to hear a real human being with real emotions. You know,
Yeah.
right? You know, that's
because there's a recent hype where there's this AI that allows you to create your own podcast. You give it the subject, it creates two fictional characters, and it starts the conversation between those two characters. So,
and it's bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah,
it's
and
really,
it all
bad.
comes across as spam. You know what it comes across as? You guys remember the little YouTuber that I kind of exposed?
Yeah,
I don't know if
remember.
I don't know if he's still mad at me or not. But Roel van der Par, the guy that made 2 million YouTube videos, by automating everything.
Yeah, I remember him.
This AI generated stuff is kind of like that. It's, you know, it's the same kind of quality too. It's just bad quality.
It's turning YouTube into a trash bin of videos.
It's hard to sift through. Yeah, the actual content versus the spam.
Yeah, there's but since you brought it up, there is a way you can leverage AI to help you make your video quality, to up your video quality. Like, there's this service that my brother introduced me to, where I can just record the video, real me, with my ums and ahs and everything, and send it to AI. It's gonna add I prompted what to do, like add transitions, zoom effects, music to the background, copyright-free music in the background, B-roll and whatnot. It's gonna spit out an amazingly high-quality video that people would watch, and I wouldn't have, and it would remove the ahs and the ums. That's the best part. And I can upload that video, and you can generate thumbnails as well, and chapters and everything. All I have to do is re-upload the video, add a description. That's all I have to do. But I would have done some of the work, which is recording the actual video and doing the showcase of, for example, if I'm talking about XeroLinux, I'll be doing the work on XeroLinux. All I ask it to is to add the zoom effects, the thumbnail, and some music, and then I upload that video. Done deal. But that's not an AI I don't call that an AI generated video. That's an AI
that's something you could
optimized
script
video
yourself if you really wanted to. And a lot of people do automate the process of video editing, for example, or audio editing. But as far as the recording process, obviously that's always been done.
Yeah,
by actual human being.
But that's what I'll be doing. That's what I'll be doing when I come back to my channel and start posting again. I'm gonna be leveraging AI to do the editing for me, but the rest of it, it's me.
But that's what I wanted to say before, that this is AI put to good use. I, for example, use AI to generate pictures for the cover of my publications, right? Because they are they have no copyright on it, right? So I can use it as I like. And I have, I do not know if you know this, the service Grammarly. Because I'm not a native English speaker, I'm from Germany, so I use Grammarly to actually get better in writing English, right? So, but yeah.
Yeah, this is AI use put to good use. So unlike what's happening now in the FOSS world, everybody likes to shit talk about AI because they're only seeing the negative part of AI. But there is a brighter side to AI which nobody talks about.
Well, I think there's a one big reason why I think a lot of people in the FOSS community have never embraced it. Now, of course, that's not been my case. From the beginning, I thought it was fantastic, but I could see the bigger picture. But a lot of people, all they saw were these big, mega tech corporations that are obviously at the forefront of this technology. And of course, we're very anti-corporate, right? The FOSS community.
Yeah.
So, we're very distrustful of companies like Microsoft, Meta, and NVIDIA, and those gigantic corporations, understandably so. But I also, from the beginning, knew it wasn't going to stay in their hands. It was eventually the open source community was going to start creating their own tools and things, and of course that has happened. And but I think a lot of that mistrust is still just because of these gigantic corporations being so heavily involved.
Yeah, speaking of mega corporations, I recently started a page for XeroLinux, published a page for XeroLinux on Facebook, only to be welcomed with hatred, because since I don't follow the news of Meta, it turns out that recently Zuckerberg decided to allow racist comments and crappy stuff, not to mention the N-word, but
well, I don't know if he allows it, but I mean, what people say, people are
on
the internet, right?
No, he announced that he's no longer going to ban and block discussions related to these subjects. So because of that, people were like, your timing couldn't be the worst, because you decided to publish a XeroLinux page on Facebook just as Zuckerberg decided not to do shit about posts like that. So one guy on Mastodon said, because you did that, I'm not gonna support your distro. It's like you are supporting Zuckerberg and his ideologies and whatever.
Oh, wow.
What the?
Wow, Steve. Steve, I wouldn't worry about people that have their minds have been polluted by politics. So just ignore those people.
Yeah, they're
just do what you do. You're never going to do anything right.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. It's like they're judging.
If anybody thinks that you posting on Facebook is somehow a support of either Facebook or of Mark Zuckerberg or anything else other than you just posting to promote your own stuff, there's something really wrong in the head with that person.
Yeah,
you're not going to. You're never going to actually make them happy. So just don't even try.
Yeah,
but
just ignore those people and go on. I don't have time for people like that, and like I don't even deal with them. Like when I get comments like that, I just keep moving.
But that's why that's a big problem, because people do not differentiate anymore. Like for example, I'm a big fan that Facebook stopped allows more free speech, and I can't say the N-word, whatever, right? That's one thing, because I believe that you can say the N-word, but you have to live with the consequences. So if I go into a black guy and say, "Hey, N," I get likely be punched, right? Rightfully so.
Yeah.
But the internet, of course, is not real life. People act differently on the internet in real life. That's part of my problem with social media in general.
Yeah. So, but my problem is more that like now I can say stuff which is not right, and nobody fact checks this anymore. And that's the bigger part of the problem.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It's so. I'm one of these people that I kind of take responsibility for everything in my life like, why do I need somebody else to fact check what somebody else says? I can do that myself. Like,
but most people don't.
like I mean, yeah, most people don't. Well, that's most people's problem.
Yeah.
That's right. Well,
So, I
yeah.
mean,
like if somebody says something on the internet and I'm concerned that it might be total and complete bullshit, I can go check that out on my own. I don't need somebody else to tell me.
yeah, but
Plus, you have to trust the other person that's actually verifying things. Sometimes those are not, good faith actors either. I trust myself doing that fact check more than anybody else.
I'm there with you 100%. I mean, but yeah, I think most likely 70-80% of the people in the world cannot do fact checking by themselves.
Well, a lot of this is fake outrage from people that, again, have bought into the whole two-party ideology, especially here in the U.S. This whole fact-checking thing is not a real thing. It doesn't affect anybody's lives at all.
Yeah.
But you would think it's, that, like, if you were making a list of the top 1,000 things in life that really affect you in a serious way, people saying bad words on social media wouldn't make that top 1,000 list. Let's be real. Like, it's not a real issue, but you would think it was, the way people talk about, this kind of stuff. That's why, I don't, too many people are hysterical on the internet.
Well,
again, real life, people act so different in real life. They don't act the way they act online. Yeah. And, that's why what I hate is just the fakeness.
Yeah. Like for me, being from Lebanon, the Lebanese people have the tendency to generalize a lot. I learned that not too long ago. We tend to generalize, like we tend to judge the entire country's population for what one man did.
Oh yes, you get that a lot. Too many people just stereotype.
Yeah.
Groups of people.
Stereotyping is not right.
Yeah, stereotyping, ethnicity, nationalities, religions. We just lump everybody in as a group. They're all like this, or I can tell you exactly what that entire group of people. I can speak for all of them. And what's funny is the person that's stereotyping those people is not a part of that group. So how the hell would they know anything about that group anyway?
Exactly. And another thing in Lebanon. This is the funniest thing. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades. But when you ask somebody for their name, instead of giving you just their name, they tell you, my name is XYZ, and I belong to this political party, and I support this, and I. Who asked you? I just asked you for your name.
Yeah, you know what I think. A lot of this has been a fad. I think a lot of this is the growing pains, though, of social media. I think social media has, again, it's polluted a lot of people's minds with some of this weird political nonsense. I think we as human beings will grow up a little bit. Social media caught us off guard, right? But I think eventually we're going to quit living in that social media mindset. So many people are living their lives like they're on Twitter all day, every day. Like, hey, I think in the coming years it'll get better.
Hopefully it will get better because social media has eaten up our brains so badly that we're no longer human. We have been dehumanized to a certain degree.
I mean, the big problem with social media is you can say anything you want and have no consequences or no real consequences.
Exactly. And that's how people are acting in real life now. They think they're on social media.
Well, a lot of people in the YouTube chat, Marquise Darko, he puts it perfectly. He says, people lack real identity. And this is exactly right. People do not identify properly with themselves. Like the people that identify, like, hey, who are you? Who are you, Steve? And if you identify yourself as a particular race or religion or sexual identity or whatever, is that really you? And it's like, is that not like, should that be the first thing out of your mouth? It's like, does that essentially tell me who you are as a person? No, that tells me nothing, right?
Exactly.
It's a lot of what political party you belong to. Who gives a shit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's trickling down to FOSS and when you go to community, the FOSS communities and whatever, and you start talking about something, they judge you by the platform you are on.
Well, a lot of it, again, it's social media has polluted people. It'll get better. For me, I've always ignored people that want to live in that realm. I just don't argue with them. I'm never going to have an argument ever with anybody about politics. I don't do it in real life. I'm damn sure not going to do it on the internet. I just completely ignore all that. And you know what? Life's pretty good when you do that. Like, you know.
You are better than me there. I love to discuss politics and stuff like that. A
lot of people do. I think that's part of the problem. Is it's almost like a video game, and you know they want that dopamine rush of getting into an internet argument.
Yeah, like one of the things that allowed me to come back to bring XeroLinux back and continue the project was I was ignoring all the negativity. I was doing my thing, and people either got the ISOs and enjoyed them, or they didn't. And those people who start shit talking and throwing poison all over the place, I completely ignore them, and I continue working on my project without even noticing.
Well, I would tell you, Steve, once you do this long enough, where you ignore the obvious, craziness, they quit messing with you. Once they realize you're like me, once they realize I'm never going to argue with them, they just go away.
It's like giving them the silent treatment.
Well, they just realize I'm not interested in that. They're playing a different game than me, right? I'm not in that game, right? Once they realize, oh, he's not going to play the game with me, well, there's no reason to try to sucker DT into one of these crazy conversations. He's not going to play. So they don't even try anymore.
I like to challenge people, right? Because I never touch people. Watch this to the use. To be honest, I don't give a shit what you use. If you're using Linux, if you're using Microsoft, whatever.
Oh yeah, the FOSS ideologues, and which I love free and open source software. But the other day, it was the Rhino Linux video, and I was showing people, how to when I enabled Flatpak snaps and app images. And I was like, yeah, these are great. You probably want to enable at least one of these third-party package managers. And the reason is because a lot of people will want proprietary software that's not in the Debian/Ubuntu repos. That's why I told people to enable that. And then I showed an example of how to install, I think, either Discord or Zoom using snaps and Flatpaks. And people were like, how dare you show people how to go get Zoom? And I was like, well, some people are gonna want it. You're promoting proprietary software. I didn't promote shit. I didn't tell people to go use it, but some people will want it. It's like, here's how to go get. Like, come on.
That's the stability of the people right there. Because, as I said, I don't give a shit what you use. Use what you like. Use what you are comfortable with. If you want to use Microsoft Windows, use Microsoft Windows, right?
Right. So exactly. And I don't care. I don't care if people go use Windows. I don't use Windows, but a lot of people, man, DT, why do you insult me for using Windows? I have never, ever said anything negative in the thousands and thousands of hours of video I've ever made about anybody choosing to use Microsoft Windows. That's never happened. You can't go find a second of video me ever doing that. But in the comments, I get accused of things like that all the time. It's like, and these people, obviously, they're kind of like the political trolls on social media. They're not honest actors. They're just there to stir up shit. I just ignore them. I don't play. I just don't respond to them. So I just keep going.
Like when you do these parody videos or short videos that you parody things, people take them too seriously and literally, but they don't get the fact that this is just a sketch.
Right.
It's like, dude, stop taking things seriously. The guy is just creating a sketch for entertainment. Come on, comedy's
a tough one to do over the internet because there's the way people interpret things sometimes. Now, I think sometimes people are being honest. They just don't get humor. Yeah, there's cultural differences too. I won't beat up people too bad for something like that. I don't think they're necessarily being dishonest in that.
Like this morning, I woke up to a person who sent me a ping because I mentioned something. He was like, "Okay, can I use Adobe Element Animate on Linux?" I was like, "No, Adobe
I don't
software,
think so. Yeah,
not possible." He was like, "But I really want to use Animate. There's not a better alternative on Linux." I was like, "Okay, if you need to use Adobe Elements,
virtual
just
machine.
have a Windows in dual boot. There's nothing wrong with using Windows for work and Linux for fun.
Yeah.
Just do that." And he was like, "You are a Linux user. You're recommending me to use Windows?"
Yeah. If you want to use Windows only software, you have to use Windows. I mean that's the only answer, right?
But that's why people are stuck in with their little mindset. Look, I have a huge company, right? I have people in the finance department which have to use Sage or SAP software. There's no Linux client for it. So what should I do?
Use Windows.
Yeah, I use the platform which I have the software on, right? So I personally, for example, I live in the shell, right? I barely use Gnome, KDE, or whatever. I use either Hyperland, i3, or Spectre VM, whatever, right? So, but I have my wife is not quite adapt to using Linux on the command line, so she uses Gnome. So what?
So what exactly? Like as I was going to announce, XeroLinux is going to re-release the Gnome edition that I used to have back in the day. But this time around, the reason I'm releasing it, it's no longer the same reason I used to have it before. Before I was having it because I wanted to mess with it. I wanted to play around with it. That's why it existed. But now the ideology behind XeroLinux Gnome edition will be because of a comment I received on Discord. When I asked that person, "Why do you use Gnome?" He was like, I am a developer and Gnome stays out of my way. It doesn't have the issues that KDE does and window managers have, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He is a developer and he likes desktop environments. He doesn't like window managers because of various reasons. So his preferred desktop environment that stays out of his way is Gnome. So I decided, I'm like, okay.
I don't know. I mean, if all you do is launch an IDE full screen, for example, pretty much all I do is launch either a terminal or Emacs full screen. Yeah, that's most of what I do.
No, he mentioned a lot of software. He mentioned a lot of software that he uses.
The desktop environment or window manager, like they're all the same. They're not in your way. Like none of them get in your way.
He mentioned he had issues with a lot of window managers he used. I didn't want to go in too deep into why and what were the issues and whatnot, because I wouldn't know. I don't use window managers. But he was like, I prefer Gnome because it's really easy to use.
I'm fine with somebody preferring Gnome, but yeah, I'm not sure about his argument. His argument it stays out of his way versus anything else. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't. Yeah, it's kind of a strange.
He did clarify. He did clarify that he always used Gnome he used Gnome more than anything else, and he's used to it. And that's the thing that stays out of his way. He tried KDE, he tried XFCE, he tried others. No. Gnome is the thing that
and I'm not saying he's necessarily wrong either, because like if I had to choose between Gnome and KDE Plasma, I probably run Gnome myself, like between the two. So I am fine with him preferring that. I have no problem. I'm just, his argument is a little strange to me.
I mean, my problem with Gnome is it's too bloated. So I'm running Gnome right here because I need it for some graphical stuff I have to use. So, but I'm stripping everything unnecessary because I'm a fan of minimalism, right?
Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head, Christian. That's what I did. I stripped everything that was unnecessary out. That's the benefit of having the choice of creating a distro while having a choice which packages to include and which packages not to include. I made it stable, super stable, and I included a total of 7 extensions very useful extensions like power profile daemon, caffeine, so the system doesn't go to sleep, all the good stuff for so they can install it. And because KDE tends, because of all the features it has, it tends to be a little bit weird to use, but the Gnome stays out of your way. And I asked him what extensions do you want me to, not extensions, tweaks do you want me to include? Would you prefer to having? He mentioned just a couple of ones for Nautilus, the ability to be able to open folders as admin and
of course,
sharing, sharing, the Nautilus share and stuff like that. That's what I included, and that's it. I just added a wallpaper, used the included accent colors in Gnome to set the extension, the color to purple, because XeroLinux is purple, and a purple wallpaper. That's it. It's the strict minimum of and it uses Wayland by default. So I didn't go away from whatever Gnome decided to be the norm. They decided that Wayland.
I don't think it's really necessary to tweak it that much. I just give them Gnome out of the box plus the Gnome tweak tool and the Gnome extension manager thingy, and say, hey,
that's what I included.
Yeah, do what you do with it. I'm done with it.
Right? Yeah, that's how I'm shipping it. I'm shipping it strict minimum, accent color purple icons, purple wallpaper, and a couple extensions. That's it. The rest is up to you. And I added an addendum to the description. I said, Gnome note: if you want to keep it stable, do not install too many extensions, and please, for the love of God, do not apply themes. I was like, you apply themes, you're on your own. So
yeah, but I looked at my package list. So I have my base installation is for Gnome, right? Is 5 packages. And I have
Gnome extras, and that's it.
No, I have desktop base. I'm Debian, right? So it's desktop base, the GDM manager, the Gnome session, Nautilus, and the PTX2RY, the new Gnome terminal replacement. And that's it for my core installation. And I can do everything I want from there.
Yeah. And XeroLinux Gnome Edition uses Ghosty instead of Gnome Terminal or Tixis. But I chose Ghosty because it's the shiny new toy.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody likes. So I'm like, maybe in the future I will switch it to Tixis. But for now, it's Ghosty, and I embedded it into the system. I even tweaked. I found the hack because I discovered, as I was including Ghosty, I discovered that Gnome developers decided to hard code Gnome Terminal or Gnome Console as the default terminal in Gnome. They hard coded it. You cannot change it. The setting in dconf that allowed you to change the default terminal is now deprecated.
Yeah.
So now to do it, you have to hard code something. So I found a hack around a workaround, and I applied the workaround to make Ghosty the default terminal in XeroLinux Gnome Edition, and that's how it will be for now. Maybe in the future I will change my mind, but for now, because I got used to configuring Ghosty, it's a configuration file. It's pretty easy if you read the documentation.
Yeah,
and
not hard at all. I was pretty impressed with its documentation. Yeah, they pretty much documented every single setting, variable you could set. Yeah,
even the fonts, the glyphs, everything is documented. And someone, I don't know if you guys know D-Dubs, he shared his configuration for Ghosty, so I included his configuration on XeroLinux because although I did configure it, but he had a more in-depth configuration, so I decided to ship his instead. So it's going to be a very minimalistic Gnome edition for developers. So if you're a developer and you want something that stays out of your way and you prefer desktop environments, you got the Gnome option. So I'm bringing that back.
But the problem I have with Gnome is that the applications tend to be, how can I put it, much simpler in their use.
They don't have as many features as the KDE applications.
No, I don't mean that, because when you look at the new GNOME text editor, right, the new one, which replaced gedit.
Gedit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you have gedit, for example, has it's mostly my problem, but you have the white space. You know that you can see white space. The GNOME text editor doesn't have that per default. You have to have a setting enabled, which is a bit minute.
And what was wrong with gedit? Gedit was actually a pretty nice text editor. Why did we need a new plain text editor?
That's why I shipped gedit instead of the new default one. I made very conscious decisions of what I included on the GNOME edition, because GNOME, as Christian said, created new versions of applications that removed useful features.
Let me give you my theory on that. It is a theory, but let me give it to you. Is that the GNOME applications are simplistic by design, because in reality, they will never be the application for something. For example, for example, the text editor. Why does a text editor need to have syntax highlighting and all the sort of things, when in reality, most users will either use Vim, VS Code, Sublime Text, or Emacs. So they created a simpler program that all it does is basic text editing for things like configuration editing and stuff like that. Basically, the stuff that you will want to do on a bare system. Or like,
I think you underestimate
people who.
I think you're underestimating the kind of people that would use something like gedit with the syntax highlighting and stuff. Things like Notepad++ are so popular on Windows. You know, that's a
not really yes, they are popular for people who aren't doing things every day. Like as soon as you go,
I'm not saying people that code professionally are using Notepad++,
but at the same time, those people just use those stuff because they can. Not because they would be just as fine with Notepad, with Windows Notepad, even back then. Like I remember I was using Notepad++, but now that I look back, I wasn't using any of the features, anything. I was just using it because I wanted to be fancy, and that's what most people do, because they listen that they should use Notepad++. That's why
it just looks better. That's all. The only reason.
No, they hear that they should use it, but in reality, don't need any of the features. They just use it because it's what they're used to, what they hear.
I'm with BigPod on this because a simple text editor doesn't normally need highlighting, syntax highlighting, right? But the other thing is that, for example, Seahorse, right? It's a security application where you can manage your GP key case and whatever. It doesn't support the newest version of ACDA case. You cannot generate them in the application. When you have a Jiri, that's the email application, right? It's simple, it does the job, but it's missing, I would say, 85 to 90% of the features Evolution has, like SMIME support, POP account support, and whatever. So basically, I have a new program, right? Which is maybe it looks nicer, whatever, and it maybe works for whatever 65% of the people, but the other one are screwed because either I'm using Evolution, right? And do not get the new fancy toy, or I have to restore to mod or whatever, right?
But that's the thing. I'm gonna put it like a question. Does the old version of program still get the updates, still get work on? If it does, that isn't a problem, because the reality is they give you the simpler one, because for people who know they need a more complex application, they will know how to install it. But the people who don't know who don't need, therefore they don't need the more complex application, will actually have get lost more easily in that more complex application. So they are probably trying to bridge that gap with more simpler applications, especially if you're trying to have one system for multiple paradigms. So that would mean for your desktop, for your tablet, for your phone, all one application.
the basic problem with I'm with you, right? I don't say you are wrong, but the problem is if I'm a company guy, right? I have to make money. So so for example, like the Jira problem, right? Of course, evolution gets updated, whatever, right? So, but evolution is fucking complicated to configure, to do anything which you basically need, right? So I need to have a guy to find the settings, to manipulate G settings, whatever, to have a constant configuration, baseline configuration for the application, right?
Yeah.
And so when I have the new one, the simpler one, right? I would like to have some basic features in it, and that's what I'm complaining about. That the most newer versions of the GNOME application lack some sort of basic features, and they do not get implemented, right? I mean, Sion says no ECDA support for GP keys since I think 6 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I have another completely different question, like, or this is a statement I'd like to make. Why the hell does, for example, GNOME or KDE need to make basically the whole suite of application? Why would something like?
I will tell you. I will tell you.
Let's be realistic here. Let's go look at something like Windows, something like Mac OS. They only give you the basic bare use case application. They don't give you the whole operating system that you could comfortably live in. And there's the same question as I have the question for distros that basically pack in the whole kitchen sink in, everything in the kitchen sink in. LibreOffice, all that. There is no point that because
Big Pot, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Why?
Quite simply, because not everyone is there's not a lot of developers who are using, let's say for KDE, are using the Qt library. So the developers of KDE feel like, okay, nobody's going to create applications for using the Qt library, so we'll create our own suite of applications, so we get the people started. They don't create everything, they just create the right amount of applications for users to get started. Same with GNOME. They get, with GNOME,
Steve, I'm going to have to get on you a little bit. While I know GTK applications are more popular than Qt applications on Linux, there's literally not any program I can't go find a Qt application for. Text editors, terminals, office suites, you name it. I can find a Qt application, many dozens of Qt applications for that one thing.
Also, another thing that I have a problem with is this so importance of the framework you use for UI, like GUI framework. It shouldn't matter whether you use GTK, whether you use Qt, whether you use ICE or whatever it's the one that is used by Cosmic, or you use the
Enlightenment toolkit, whatever the one they're using,
or BigPod's most random toolkit.
BigPod's toolkit.
It shouldn't matter what you use. Problem is that we have over-reliance on system settings before application settings, and that's been a big problem for Linux forever. Like the fact that themes are system-based, not application-based, it baffles me to no end. Sorry, but it baffles me to no end.
The GUI toolkits too, especially in GTK and Qt, I mean, they're essentially trying to do the exact same thing. They have the same like buttons and decorations and sliders and radio buttons and drop down, like anything you can do in GTK, you can do in Qt and vice versa, and they pretty much look the same at the end of the day.
Ironic part is, to me, Windows looks far more cohesive with zero care about that than even programs that are made in same toolkit on Linux by different.
It's because nobody cares on Windows. Nobody tries to create new toolkits.
Nobody tries to care. They use GTK.
Although Qt does work well on Windows applications.
And GTK works as well. And they have 15 different others, but they don't. But you know what the point? All they get from the system is the little ping that you should use dark mode. Everything else is then handled by the application itself. And
dark mode,
all it has is the little hint from operating system. You should be using dark mode if you have it available. There is no theming. All theming is application based. That's why it looks so much better, because it is not trying to put every application into the same mold.
Yeah, well, this is something GNOME does well. Is when they tell people not to use themes and to stick to the light or dark mode of the GNOME by default, they have a better experience. No need to go start using themes and the themes being incomplete. They work on this application. They don't work on
I don't like that, Steve. Steve, Linux is all about customization.
Yes,
anyway, people are going to hack on your system. Telling people not to hack on their system, they're never not going to do that. You can yell it all you want. People are going to theme.
I'm with Steve on this one. I'm not sure where I got this, but there was a pretty strong case against theming. A developer said basically that I'm not saying you shouldn't use theming. I'm not saying that it's wrong to use theming, right? But the problem is that for, let's say, the icons on an application, the GUI designer of the application put some thought into it, how the icon would look like in different solutions, whatever, right? So I'm putting a theme over it. I'm destroying this work, and the application could look a lot different than it intended to, right? I mean,
sure. I think everybody. I think everybody understands theming something changes the way it looks, right?
Yeah,
right.
But that's a problem. Not all do, because I had a problem that I had an employee who put a theme on it, and for some reason the theme got selected as a default in LibreOffice, right? And all icons were just white.
Yes, that's a LibreOffice issue.
Yeah,
but LibreOffice is not a GTK application, and it's part of the problem with that.
But it pulls that in and all that. Right. I have two questions for people here, or one question and one statement. First of all, that's why I say application theming, not system-wide theming. If each application could apply a theme separately, then you could have more customization that you already have. But also, second thing, Steve.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of so-called fake frames with NVIDIA graphics cards?
Fake frames?
Oh my god!
Yes.
Oh my god!
Just give me a short opinion. Are you okay with them, or are you not okay with them?
Once they get better, I'll be okay with them. But right now, I'm not okay with them.
So right now, you're not okay with them. So you're not okay with the fact that when you go and enable fake frames, you're destroying the visual language of the game that was created by the
I knew he was setting a trap when he asked that.
That's the same thought process as theming an application.
Well, I
knew you would be the person to ask. That's why I asked you.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I'm a KDE user because I like to theme everything, every corner, every inch of my system. So I will never have a problem with that. But when it comes to, all I'm saying is when a desktop environment comes along and tells you, if you want to use it the way we created something, and you're looking for stability, please do not use themes. You are all free to use themes, but if you want stability over anything else, please don't use themes. I also agree with those people, because if people came to GNOME to theme it while the developers recommend against it. They don't block you from doing it. They shouldn't block you. That's where I have an issue with GNOME. They block you. They turn you into an evil. They turn you into an evil gremlin if you do. This is wrong. But what I'm saying
I think Linux users are a little bit more grown up than what GNOME developers like to give them credit for. I think everybody understands when you start hacking on your system a little bit, things can break.
Not
and I think
everyone.
most people accept most
everyone.
Linux users accept that responsibility. I mean, that's kind of like a normal day for us. Yeah. I mean, come on, Steve, you use Arch Linux, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you were really concerned about stability, you'd be on Debian stable.
Whoa.
I mean, let's be real. If he's really that concerned,
no. He's right. But I'm gonna up it on you right now, because I am currently working on setting up a home lab server, and people keep recommending the default thing: run Debian and then install Docker on top of it. Well, no, you don't. If you're telling me that, that means you don't know me very well.
So you're going to do an Arch server? Is that where you're going, Steve?
Yes, exactly.
Good luck with that.
Well, I'm gonna give you this little blurb. Your server should be considered cattle, not pets. So if you do not care about server crashing, and you can really quickly instantiate, it doesn't really matter what distro you use. Only time you care about distro,
and especially
what
that
distro you use
I'll
is
be
because
installing...
you want stability, because you think of a server as a cattle or as a pet, something you need to take care of and make sure it's always in perfect shape, because otherwise you're gonna die. All my servers are cattle. Like you crash, okay, I'm gonna reboot you. I don't care. The other server will take over your task.
No, Debian servers, you install Debian on a server, you never update it for the next 10 years. You never reboot it for the next 10 years either. Matter of fact, you forget you even have that Debian server.
You should it's a server. You should be updating.
I feel I use the same servers than I'm using, because I have to do plenty of stuff on my Debian server.
No, but here's my argument to this, to Arch, using Arch as a server. Because Debian still haven't updated Docker meta package. They still use Docker -compose instead of Docker space compose.
Do not use distro provided package. Use the one from upstream repositories, please.
Okay,
no
I
matter
agree with
what
you.
You
Again,
do,
I agree with you. I agree with you,
That
Big
is a
Pod.
stupid idea.
Yeah,
always.
I agree with you.
Use the one provided by upstream.
I agree with you, Big Pod, but here's the thing. Another reason I'll be using Arch is because I know how to fix it when it goes down. Debian, not so much. And I'll only be using TTY with a couple of packages: Docker Compose, and it's going to be inside a VM on Proxmox.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
okay, yeah, I'm using Proxmox as well on my
and the storage and the storage for my Docker containers will be hosted on something called Open Media Vault.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're gonna NFS mount it?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
I use something called Ceph. Do not use it. It's way too complex for you.
Well,
are you happy with Ceph?
I am an Arch user for life. So if I can stick to Arch all my life, I'll be the happiest person, because in case it breaks, I know exactly how to fix it.
I had another Arch topic for Steve I wanted to bring up, because I know he follows the development of the Arch install script. Have you tried the latest release with the now the Wayfire window manager added to the installation?
Not yet. I'll be testing it. I'm curious to test it. But
and apparently they also fixed some bugs with their disk partitioning. You know, it was always kind of flaky, the Arch install script.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I will be, since I'm gonna have a KDE ISO and a GNOME ISO, the scripts will be gone. The scripts will be gone. There will be only the Cosmic. It's for people who want to mess around with Cosmic. But I would be the only problem I'm having right now on Proxmox. I have a mini PC, like I said, that was donated to me. For whatever reason, anything that uses Wayland on Proxmox and the Proxmox VM nets me a black screen. I don't know why. I can't explain it.
Graphics driver.
Okay, I'm using Wayland all the time on Proxmox because I'm actually running my desktop on Wayland. I'm like, or on Proxmox. I don't actually use desktops anymore. I use the VMs that I then cast over to my laptop.
Yeah, but I don't know why Proxmox for me on that mini PC. It could be related to the mini PC itself. I don't know.
I never thought that. I'm running Cosmic right now. I'm living in Cosmic for.
Oh yeah, Cosmic. Cosmic is one of the few. Cosmic is one of the few that does work. But...
And Gnome works as well for me, but I don't know. Like,
I'm not talking everything on Wayland. I'm talking like Hyperland, window managers on using Wayland.
No idea. Like, look, no idea. Like, I'm thinking if I have some configuration settings set, but
it could be a configuration thing in Proxmox that I need to set.
I might be special case because I'm passing a GPU to a VM. So
I'm not gonna pass to a GPU, especially that
I have to because I need that switch encoder so I can cast it to my desktop without much or my laptop.
Okay, but in my case, the mini PC only has an iGPU, so I don't think it's gonna do much. It's gonna change much.
Also different use case. I'm literally using it as a desktop replacement. I'm not.
Okay. But in my case, it's going to be my server, my home lab server, and my virtual machine thing. I'm going to have only two virtual machines. One that will run XeroLinux, and one where I'll be testing various distros. The third and final virtual machine is going to be the one that's on 24/7 running my Docker containers, so running on Arch. But other than that, this is going to be my server. But I'm wondering, like, I even tried Bazite, not the gaming handheld one, just the desktop one.
Yeah.
It refuses to boot into the desktop. It just ends on the black screen. So I have no idea what's happening. I just need to figure this out. I even asked the Bazite guys. They were like, no, it works fine. We have it on QEMU. It runs fine. Virt Manager, it runs fine. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Proxmox. So anyway, it's not a must. It's just for me to have fun to see how Bazite works.
Well, I know in Virt Manager, you'll run into problems with certain window managers depending on which video driver you're using. So maybe play around with the drivers.
None of the distros. I noticed not many of the distros that I test on Virt Manager have the QEMU guest agent and the necessary stuff for QEMU to work. I have to install them manually. XeroLinux, for example, contains those by default. It just checks if you're running into a VM, running XeroLinux on a VM. It will install them. If not, it will delete them. So I don't know. Why don't more distros include those and detect if you're running in a VM or not? I think Hyperland included that recently. My
Actually,
Linux for Work included that by default as well.
One of the cool things with Rhino Linux is, that video I did the other day, I didn't mention it, but I should have at the time. It detected that I was in a VM. It automatically adjusted the screen resolution and everything, redrew the wallpaper as soon as I logged in. There's very, very, very few distros that actually do that. So
I was very few distros that do that.
Sorry, I spaced out for a bit. What did it do?
What?
The VMs?
Yeah, what?
It detects that if you're running in a VM and it automatically resizes the resolution. It ups the resolution to 1920 by 1080.
And you notice the same thing with
because by default, if it doesn't detect you're in a VM, all resolutions are going to default to 1024 or whatever the you know,
Yeah,
1280
really
by
small
800.
little box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the default resolution is 1280 by 800, but
Is it?
you notice that XeroLinux has the same thing as Rhino Linux. It detects the VM, it resizes the desktop, and it redraws and it fixes the resolution and everything, because it's very simple. QEMU guest agent and VDA through QEMU VDA agent.
Yeah.
That's all it needs. Those two packages, very few distros are including on the ISO, resulting in 1280 by 800, and you having to set the resolution manually. I find that weird. Two packages, a few kilobytes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is strange that the default resolution still is such a small resolution. Like, that would have been an okay resolution to default to back in, I don't know, 1998. But
yeah, on
like,
CRTs.
right,
yeah, on
come
CRTs.
on. Yeah, it's so small now. Yeah, same thing with the TTYs. You know, they're so small.
Oh, here's another problem with Virt Manager or virtualization as a whole. When you log out and you're on the login screen, it's a different resolution than when you're on the desktop. It's a lower resolution than when you're on the desktop.
That's not a problem of your that's not an inherent problem of virtualization. That's an inherent problem of how the login screen work in Linux. They don't take settings from your, or in most cases don't take settings from your desktop. They have separate settings, but
because you're not logged in yet, so it doesn't know what resolution.
Yeah. The catch is, if you actually use multi-monitor, have you ever actually tried moving the mouse between monitors on the,
yes, it's always the wrong side. It's always on the wrong side.
Yes. Wanna know why? For exactly the same reason as why in VMs they don't work, because they don't take the settings from the,
because until you log in, it doesn't run, you know, the xrandr command to, you know, move everything around.
Not just that. It's not a problem. It runs its own xrandr command or whatever. It runs its own. The fact is, it doesn't take the settings that you set in the desktop environment for itself. For example, Mate had a specific setting you could press, clicking button, which went and applied its settings, that current settings, to light DMs, so it was correct. And when you were running Mate with light DM, you could get that to work, and it would perfect. There is a way to do it with Gnome, if I remember correctly. There is a way to do it with like in settings, like in settings for it, for
SGDM in the settings for SGDM, there's no resolution setting for SGDM. It's a problem with SGDM. SGDM,
you can set in all those. You can set it in all those in the behind the scenes settings, but it's actually pretty complex.
I tried the config file. It's in user share. No, it's in user share SGDM. Or etc sgdm conf.d kdes underscore settings whatever. It's and there's another sgdm.conf in etc. I tried in all of these to set the resolution. It doesn't work. It has some a file somewhere that it's not clear, nor in the documentation nor anywhere else, but it has its own settings. I have 3 monitors, and they're never on the right location. It's always the opposite way around.
At one point, I know it's up for Gnome, but
well, for Gnome, I don't know. But for KDE, for SGDM,
Steve,
there must be a file somewhere.
Have you tried?
Where?
I was going to ask you, have you tried the new login manager that I saw Eric Dubois playing with the other day? Because I got the empty. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's a CLI login manager.
If I wanted to scare people away, I would use that. Yeah.
I was just wondering if you tried it. I haven't tried it yet. I was wondering how well it works.
Yeah,
because the last one of these that people were talking about, there was one called Ly.
Yeah.
And I actually did try that one because I didn't put it on camera because it was not a good experience. I was like, yeah, I'm not.
Well, Ly is problematic, especially on Wayland.
It was, and I don't like putting things on camera that I know I'm going to be very negative on. So that's like, I better just not.
I'll tell you one thing about Empty. Empty is display manager agnostic, compositor agnostic. So if you're using Wayland, you're using Mother, you're using
I'm going to post
X11.
a link to its GitHub in the YouTube chat for anybody interested in knowing what we're talking about.
It's really interesting, but it's for the hackers in us. It's for the tinkerers in us, yes. But for the regular user, seeing terminal before they even enter the desktop environment, that's a little bit scary, off-putting for those new users. But it's an interesting one because to me, I'm not going to lie to you, that's what I'm using right now.
It's kind of a strange name. I don't know why they wanted to include TTY as part of their name.
Well, because
it's cool.
Because it's TTY. Because it is TTY.
Yeah. But, I'm thinking, when I got the YouTube notification, I'm thinking like, oh, it's going to be a video about a terminal. But it's login manager.
Yeah.
It's like, I was kind of disappointed. It's like,
you just reminded me, Ghosty. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, Ghosty, that's going to be default on XeroLinux Gnome. So
really, why?
Yep.
Because
it has splits and it has tabs built in, Big Pod.
No, it's because it's got the overview. You click on the squares button, it shows you an overview of all your tabs and everything. I like that, and it's because it's the shiny new toy. I might
I did like it when I played with it. It's not something I need because I really don't need any of the features that it has, but I do know a lot of people that do love splits and especially tabs in their terminals. I'm not a tab guy at all, but for people that want that, it is a pretty good experience.
No. But I know what Big Pod will say. Why aren't you using Tixis? Tixis is better. Tixis is really good. Yes, I agree. I might replace Ghosty with Tixis in the future, but for now, because Ghosty is a new shiny toy, I'm including it. In the future releases, Tixis will replace it. Tixis is good for Docker, for people who use Docker containers and DistroBox, especially people who use DistroBox. And I really might include it because of that. Once the hype around Ghosty dies down, I will replace Ghosty with Tixis.
Ghosty just hype, nothing else. Like,
I know, I agree, Big Pod. I agree. It's hype, but it's a new shiny toy that people want to play around with. So I will include that. But once the hype dies down, I'm going to replace it with Tixis because Tixis, I use Docker containers and I use DistroBox. It's more useful than Ghosty.
But that's one thing I don't get. And the only thing I care about my terminal is that I have Unicode support, and that's it.
Yeah, but my problem with Tixis is it still doesn't support images. Like I have fastfetch with my logo as a PNG image. It doesn't work in Tixis.
I'm a hardcore terminal user, and like I've never thought to myself, man, I really need images in my terminal. I've never come up with a use case for that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fastfetch lover, so I want to see my logo as a PNG image. Why am I forced to use ASCII code?
Because it's a terminal.
Because it's text-based.
Yeah.
Because
that's what man. That's
well,
crazy.
I like to see my logo as a PNG image. That's just me, but hey, come on, Tixis, support images, please.
No, Tixis no need to support images. Nobody really cares except a few people.
I'm not going to complain if a terminal chooses to display images, but I have never, ever thought, man, I really need this terminal to display an image, and it can't. I've never even tried to in most terminals. Like I just assume they don't.
You guys know me. I'm all about the visuals. Come on.
Yeah.
They don't matter.
They matter to me.
Because if I'm like doing an ls command and I'm trying to like view a JPEG or a ping, if I just enter the name of the file, it's going to open it in my image editor anyway. Why do I need to see it in the terminal?
Yeah.
Tell that to the people. Tell that to the people who love that terminal-based file manager that support that now finally supports images. They love it because it supports images now.
Ranger,
yeah.
Yeah, Ranger's been supporting images for a while. I think as long as the terminal itself supports images.
Yeah. See, this is not going to happen with Tixis. Hey, it's just me. I like to see my logo as a PNG image. Hey, if a terminal does not allow me to do that, I'm not going to use it.
Well, luckily, you know, I can always just use Emacs as my terminal. And of course, Emacs will display an image because it's a GUI program. So I can, it's the best of both worlds.
Which brings me to a question, DT. Have you updated your Emacs configuration recently? Because if you did, can you send me a link again? Because I lost the link to your Emacs repository, so I can update mine.
It's my .files repository. If you have that on my GitLab, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just go into .config/Emacs. That's all.
Yeah,
it's just my .files.
It's been a while because it's been what, a year almost since I included it.
Yeah, and you know, I doubt much has changed. The only thing you would have to do is, well, you wouldn't have to do anything. The config would be the same, but when they compile it, you know, when they run it the first time, they're going to get obviously different versions of all the various Emacs programs building.
Oh, okay. So there's not much.
Probably is fine as is, but if you run into an issue, let me know. Just send me a message and I could fix that within a couple of minutes if there's some kind of error.
Yeah, because I still offer it. People are happy. They're like, we never thought XeroLinux is going to include Emacs, an Emacs option in the toolkit. I'm like, I hate it. That doesn't mean I cannot offer it to you guys who like it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, especially I mean it uses evil mode, so unless you really know the Vim key bindings, I imagine you would hate it.
Well, I think the configuration.
Have we ever talked about this, Steve? Do you ever really use VI or Vim?
Good question. It is included on the Gnome edition out of the box, Vim and all its plugins. I just started trying to use Vim. I just can't get used to the JK whatever keys.
HJKL?
I just can't get used to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I want to exit Vim. How do you exit Vim? Control X? No. Control C? No. Control Escape? No. Semicolon
Q?
Oh, semicolon WQ. Yay! And after 1 hour of messing around with it, I finally remembered a video Matt made from the Linux Tube when he compared Nano to Vim. I was like, oh yeah, he wrote semicolon WQ, right quit. Okay.
No, just colon, no semicolon.
Yeah, colon, whatever.
Anytime you want to actually type a command of any kind, you type colon.
You have to go into insert mode, yeah.
Yeah, you go, no, just colon gets you into the command mode where you can do things like edit and save and, you know, things like that.
Yeah, but don't you have to?
Or you can even enter terminal commands, and you know.
Don't you have to go into insert mode to start typing in the document?
Oh yeah, that's how you get into actually typing.
You type I, and then you start.
Then it's a regular keyboard. Yeah, you just type.
Yeah, because when I opened the document and I wanted to start typing, I opened the document in Vim and I started typing. It wasn't typing. It wasn't doing anything. So I was like, "What the hell's going on?" I went to the Vim documentation. Oh yeah, I have to type I. I type I and then started typing. I was like, I have to do all this with Nano. I just sudo nano a file and I'm immediately in insert mode.
Yeah, but see that's the thing. I mean, I love Vim. I mean, I do not love the default key bindings. I remap them mostly and whatever, and I have a heavy modified version of Vim, whatever. But for me, Vim is the best editor there's out there. Nano, that's the first thing I purge from my DB distribution because I cannot get around with Nano.
Yeah, I can only use
It is very
Nano.
hard. It is, if you're a Vim user, it is very hard when you occasionally sometimes get stuck in Nano for whatever reason, and it's very difficult to navigate. It really is. Nano is frustrating.
For someone who uses Nano,
no, it's not.
Well, for someone who lives most of his life on Nano, Vim
you know how many times I've got random eyes all over a document because I was trying to edit it in Nano and trying to get into insert mode.
How many times I'm like, once again, how do I exit Vim because it's opened Vim for no absolutely no good reason.
I can always tell when I wrote something in the wrong text editor, because I'll open up a text file and there's just random like :WQs all over the place where I was trying to exit, couldn't figure out how to exit.
Like for example, like I set up a server and just give something real quick, and I'm like, okay, I forgot to set editor to nano. How do I save and exit now? Okay, now I need to press escape a couple of times, so it absolutely does allow me to exit. Then I'm just gonna do colon
Let's
W.
mute Steve. I think Steve's got something going on in
And
the
then it
background.
might save. There
we go.
Because like what? Because why? When I can now just press Control X and Y a couple of times, and it will just save and exit, and I'm done.
I mean, it's not much of a problem. A lot of distributions will have nano set to the default editor, but that's easy to change. A lot of them though will have nano set to like VI sudo and things like that. And that's a little bit more frustrating, because then a lot of times you just deal with it, even though you're not happy about it.
I like, one of the things I do, like configure my system, is I set the editor environment variable to nano, so I can actually use the bloody system.
You know what? I should add that to all of my like shell configs. Yeah, I could do that too. I just haven't ever done it.
Yeah, like
I'm complaining about something I could fix. I should just fix it.
At one point, I was like super crazy, and I did, instead of editor equals nano, I did instead of editor equals code.
Oh my god!
Actually worked.
Well, on the Gnome edition, it's not Vim is not the default. It's still nano, but I included Vim for those who are used to typing Vim in terminal. They'll have Vim, but I'm trying to learn Vim more. But it's a little bit frustrating coming from 5 years of using nano. So I'll get used to it. But especially that there are some applications that, for whatever reason, they are hard-coded to use Vim. If you use nano, it just says file not found, but when you run Vim, it finds the file and I can edit it and it will display it correctly. If I run with nano, sometimes it displays it incorrectly. The formatting is not correct. I don't understand where that stems from.
Yeah, that's very strange.
That's very strange. That's what I'm saying. It's really strange. So
unless it was some weird, like sometimes people will write scripts and things in Vim, and they'll have a little bit of, I don't know, like some extra Vim type script somewhere in there. That's for,
maybe they were using plugins, Vim plugins.
I know I can do some of that kind of stuff with certain documents in Emacs. If I wanted to add certain little tags and documents, that would only work if you were viewing it in Emacs, for example. But that still, it's strange.
Yeah, like I think those people,
especially if it's something people are sharing, they really shouldn't add little proprietary bits to the
well, it's not about using proprietary bits. I think those people were using Vim plugins when they wrote the file. So if you use nano, the plugin is not there for nano, and if you use Vim without that plugin, it also will display it incorrectly. So there's this whole thing. So that's why I included Vim and all its plugins that are available on the Arch repositories. So hopefully nobody will have any issue.
Yeah.
So
one last thing I wanted to bring up as far as Linux related news that I was reading about this morning, and I thought we'd just briefly discuss it. It's not necessarily important news, but the Ubuntu devs have been debating whether to move from IRC over to Matrix, because IRC kind of dead, right? I think we all understand that. That's not really a big deal, but it got me thinking, how dead is IRC? So I went and looked at some statistics, and for a long time, of course, we had the Freenode server, whatever, that was where all the FOSS projects were, and of course that's dead now, and everybody moved over to this new thing, LiberaChat.
Yeah.
And during like peak hours, the amount of users it has is like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 25 to 30K.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is the most popular IRC.
Libera.
You can imagine most of the other ones have no traffic. Like,
Yeah.
Liberatrack's by far the most popular one. So
So
very low amount of user, because IRC is a standard chat protocol that's been around since the early days of the internet, that used to have millions probably of people on it at one point, and now it's so sad.
You know who still uses IRC? Twitch.
Do they?
Yeah, no, actually, no. They switched off of it very recently.
To what?
Proprietary thing.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah,
if
but
Twitch
the
is on IRC,
proprietary-
IRC would, the stats would be better if the Twitch
No,
was
no,
using.
but
As a backend for the chat.
They may
Yeah,
have a
but-
bridge between IRC and something else they're using.
Before they had an internal IRC server, which then you could which chat was literally an IRC server, IRC
yeah,
channel. But
the reason I say that is because there's a GUI that you can connect to the Twitch chat called Chatterino that Chris Titus Tech uses. I'm using it as well. It connects via IRC, but I think it's a proprietary IRC backend.
yes, from what I know, they still have it as a legacy.
That's why Chatterino still works.
Yeah. I can understand why distributions want to use, a more free kind of protocol like IRC or even Matrix. But I don't have no problems with them having an official support Discord server. I mean, that's where everybody's Discord, at anyway. Yeah. So
yes, honestly, use Discord.
Yeah, that's where everybody's at. I mean,
I'm gonna say from both experience with Ubuntu and then on top of that Ubuntu Mate and experience with Universal Blue, I can say there is far more engagement on Discord out of the box. But at least IRC isn't Matrix. That's the other
thing is IRC.
That's a good thing for IRC.
Yeah, even though nobody uses IRC, and that's why they're looking at Matrix. Matrix has a lot of issues.
Matrix is annoying as hell.
It is complicated especially for people that aren't very tech savvy. It's not like they shouldn't move to Matrix. Like, they should just move to Discord if that's what they want to do.
Only feature of Matrix that somewhat redeems it is the fact that it can use you can connect to any server from any server.
No.
That's its only redeeming feature.
I mean, really, ideally, what distros should do, they should have a Discord server, which is what 99% of the people that want support are going to use, and then have one person that old neckbeard that's going to hang out on IRC anyway. Have him there for the 2 people a month that show up to the IRC channel.
But reality is, people don't just show up on IRC. They see that you have an IRC. You're gonna see that you have Discord. They're gonna show on your Discord.
Right.
That's it. But honestly, if you're using Discord, is there anything more than or any kind of chat, is anything more than just a support channel, where it really doesn't matter what you use?
No. Discord is all about opinions, and it's all about people yelling at each other and screaming at each other.
It's about people writing things. It's not about opinions.
That's just people being people. I mean,
any chat application, any kind of chat system is about opinions.
Big pod.
If people talk about opinions.
Big pod. My brother, whom I respect so much. I will tell you one thing. I am part of 6 different. I don't join a lot of servers, but the 6 servers I'm part of, FOSS related servers, they all have a not safe for work channel, Linux memes or FOSS memes.
Standard, because you want to drive engagement. that's about engagement, because
a recent
meme-
server I joined, they even have a extremely not safe for work. Like we're talking adult content.
Yeah, I was about to say the pornographic stuff. Anyway,
look,
I'm not going to tell other people how to run their discords, but I would be careful because you never know what kind of people are.
You should always limit what can be posted. Like,
right.
But on like most servers that I'm like, they are larger. Of course, I'm not talking about my personal podcast server, no tax allowed, because we have 30 people on it. But I'm talking about like those only have thousands. Like most, unless you have a lot of engagement from like support, you're gonna need something where people can do what is known as shit posting. So you drive engagement so people see your.
But they're not posting porn on your server, Big Pod. Steve was talking about.
Of course, but
and the Ubuntu server obviously is not going to have
should be banned anyway, because you should have some sort of moderation.
Right. Yeah, well, I those servers don't have any moderation, because the things I've seen, I'm gonna tell you,
that's a problem.
Anytime you have a Discord and you allow people to post images, you are taking a chance. So I'm just saying.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. There was a server which had barely any moderation, but it at least had moderation. DistroTube, DistroTube, Discord. That was Wild West, but there was still sheriff in town. Me. And when it got too heated, sheriff started doing arrests.
Sheriff Big Pod.
You still had a sheriff. Although the sheriff let most things go, there are some things that you go out.
It's one of those things that you have to be careful. Well, we all know because we stream on YouTube. You have to be careful with like a Discord chat or a Zoom chat like this would be fine. But if you had a Discord room where people were allowed to post images, if you were streaming that, well, hell, they could post, for example, some adult imagery while streaming on YouTube.
I know few. Like I remember one of the streamers, someone who was doing some Discord bot thing. He basically had to make sure that he did open his Discord on stream, because soon he got a deluge of crazy stuff on the screen.
Yeah, if you open that server on YouTube, immediate demonetization.
Well, I mean, not just demonetization. Usually, your account is gone after that.
DT. Yeah. One thing I have to say is that a lot of people still remember me specifically for being moderator on your Discord.
They don't forget the sheriff.
Like I know, like a couple of people have said to me, "You were a moderator on DT's."
Well, I'm sure you were a very fair moderator.
Well, most of the time I wasn't there, but when people pinged me that there is some serious
it was problem, exciting when you were.
I went in and did some sheriffing.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and get a last word. We're coming up on the end. I'm kind of pressed for time today. Got some big football games going to watch here. The last 2 games before the Super Bowl are today. So, Big Pod, give us the last word.
Okay, so while we were talking, I was actually watching sports, so that's why I went missing for that little bit. I was watching ski flying. That was interesting. Slovenian won. On other hand, please watch or listen to my podcast. Me and Josh make No Tax Allowed. We're still looking for many subscribers and many listeners, because, well, we want people to enjoy, and a lot of people to enjoy what we're making. And if you hate, come and listen as well, because we also want you to hate listen to us if you so choose to hate us.
I like that. Well, I post a link to No Tucks Allowed in the YouTube chat for anybody in the chat who wants to check out Big Pod's podcast. Check it out.
And tomorrow comes a new episode. I'm actually editing it right now.
You gonna give us a preview of the topic, or is it you gonna keep it a secret?
I don't know. I forgot, because right now I'm doing the pre stuff, like I'm
Right.
doing synchronization and just clean up of noise, stuff like that I don't need to listen to. I'm gonna listen to it later, and I'm gonna cry, because I still hate listening to my own voice.
Right.
That's one. And two, I will listen to it 3 times, so I will almost know it by heart. And then once when it gets uploaded, because, well, I have to still see if it went through okay. But since I open up notes, I can tell you it's about Wine 10, GTK4 not actually being broken, Bamboo printers attempting vendor lock-in, and PayPal getting fined for being cheap.
No, I love vendor lock-in. That's exciting. Right.
So this means we kind of pretend we're a security podcast, but in reality we're a technological podcast.
Yeah.
Not just Linux, tech in general, with sprinkling of Linux.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll check it out. Thanks, Big Pod. Christian, do you have a last word for us?
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward for the next round.
All right. Thanks for hanging out. Basher52, I don't know if he's got a mic or not. He hasn't said anything. If not, that's fine. But if you want to say a last word, feel free.
He did say in chat nothing special here, so probably doesn't have microphone.
Right. Yep. Steve, of course, send us out with your last word.
My last word is look out for the XeroLinux Gnome edition coming next month. With a lot of new things, an update to the XeroLinux KDE edition, and look out for me coming back on YouTube. I keep repeating that, but I'm not coming back. It's because a lot of things happened, mainly the war. So when a war comes along, there's not much you can do. But I'm safe. I would like to tell the people thanks to everyone who pitched in during last year and helped me escape the goings on in Lebanon and be safe in different countries. I was able to go to Greece, Serbia, Dubai, and then now back home. So I thank you, everyone. And of course, keep coming back, checking out for new updates from XeroLinux. And yes, before anybody asks, XeroLinux will embrace AI at some point in the future. Not right now, but at some point in the future. So if you don't like it, it's not forced. It will never be forced. It's going to be an optional thing in the toolkit, but it's going to be there. So if you don't like it, don't use it. If you like it, it's there for you. So yeah, future plans. A lot of things will be changing, and better times are ahead.
All right.
Before
Very cool.
we end, I would like to congratulate Dark Zero Steve on surviving the Balkans.
Yes, thank you, BitPod. Thank you, BitPod. Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard because no English.
All right. Well, my last word, of course, is
two more normal parts like Croatia, Slovenia.
Yeah. More normal parts, right? I like that. All right. My last word, of course, is thanking the guys here that were hanging out with me on camera. Also, you guys in the YouTube chat. Thank you guys for hanging out. And other than that, I'm going to show some names on the screen of the patrons who help support this channel. And guys, wave bye to YouTube. Well, I'm the only one on camera, so I just wave bye. Bye. All right.